Hi everybody, it is Sam again from the GSLAC STEM team. STEM of course standing for Science, Technology, Engineering, and Math. We have another STEM activity video for you guys today. We're actually going to be talking again about color, kind of similar to what we did last week. This week, instead of talking about pH and pigments though, we're actually going to be talking about something called iridescence and show you how to make an iridescent piece of paper of your own. So first things first, we learned in our last STEM activity video that there are chemicals called pigments that can actually give materials and substances colors. So if you remember, we had our purple cabbage juice that used the pigment anthocyanin to be that dark purple color that could change with pH. However, in the world around us, not all colors are made by pigments. The way pigments work is they are a chemical, a material that will absorb certain colors and reflect certain colors back to your eyes. For example, the purple anthocyanin pigment reflects purple light back into your eye. That's why you see it as purple, and absorbs all other colors. However, like we said, not all colors are made that way. In fact, there's certain things called iridescence, or materials that are iridescent, that instead of being colorful through pigments, they're colorful through the actual structure of the material. For example, if you look at a CD has this nice rainbow color as you let the light shine on it. That color is not made by a pigment, but instead an effect of the actual surface of the CD. There are small engravings on a CD that when the light hits them, breaks and scatters the light apart into the different colors you see. There's actually examples of this in nature too, not just man-made materials, but there are actual certain types of insects and birds and even plants actually that have iridescent colors on them. So this is an example of a scarab beetle I actually have. If you look at the bottom, there's kind of that shiny green that is an iridescent material that is actually made from the structure of that insect. This is usually called structural color. So there's actually types of butterflies called blue morpho butterflies that have these brilliant shiny blue wings that are blue not because of a pigment, but because of the ridges that make up that wing. If you zoom in really close with a microscope, you'll see those ridges that actually scatter light and reflect it in a way to see those rainbow colors. Think of looking at light through a bubble. When you see a bubble up into the light, you can see that kind of swirling rainbow of colors. That is another example of iridescence. That film around the bubble is scattering light. Okay, so we're going to show you how to make an iridescent piece of paper. We're going to gather some supplies and show you now. All right, so to make our iridescent piece of paper, we're going to need some supplies. First things first, you're going to want a large container and put some water in it. This could be a bowl, this could be a plastic container like I have. Next, you are going to want some clear nail polish. Make sure it is not colorful, it has to be clear nail polish. You are also going to want either a piece of black construction paper or a piece of black sandpaper. And then finally, you're going to want a place where you can dry your iridescent paper because it will be wet when you make it. All right, so we're going to start with a piece of black construction paper. We're going to do both the construction paper and the sandpaper and compare them. And what you're going to do when you are ready is you are actually going to sink your paper in the water. You want it to make sure it is nice and flat at the bottom of your container. You do not want it to be floating up at the surface. Next, pretty easy. All you're going to do is take your clear nail polish and you're going to let a drop fall onto the surface of your water. And what you should see is that nail polish spread out along the surface and kind of make a film. And you actually might be able to see a little bit of that iridescent color in there already. You can see, at least from my angle, I can see some there. You can also, if you want, kind of wrinkle the edges. Sometimes that brings out the color a little bit better. Then what you're going to do is go down, grab the bottom of your paper and slowly lift it up out of the water, making sure to go through that iridescent film. Now you should see, I kind of let the light hit it a little bit, you should be able to see a little bit of that iridescent going through. We've basically trapped that color in this piece of paper. So it will stand out a little bit better once it is dry, so we're gonna go ahead and lay that one to dry. Again, a piece of construction paper is not completely flat. There are some ridges in there that is helping scatter that light and keeping that kind of iridescent color. So what we're gonna do now is try with a piece of sandpaper. Sandpaper is a lot less smooth than our construction paper. It's got literally little particles of sand in there. So we'll see if that works better at making our iridescent piece of paper than the construction paper, or worse. So just like last time, we're just simply going to sink our paper in the bottom of our container. Again, we are going to drip just a couple drops of our clear nail polish over the surface of our water and wait for it to spread out. Goes. Sometimes just a little bit. Try to see if you can see a spot where you can actually see some of the iridescence, and then slowly and gently lift up your paper. I can see some pretty nice purple iridescence in the center and even some kind of rainbow along the edges. Again, you're going to want this to dry. Then once it is dry, you can actually cut it out, cut out shapes. You can make it into a bookmark, whatever you want, but make sure it is dry first. That film is kind of fragile until it is dry. So I did make some earlier today I want to show you. Here's a piece I made using some construction paper. See that iridescence on there, and you can see it's not fragile anymore. You can touch it, you can cut it, etc. And here is a piece I made using sandpaper. So feel free to try this out for yourself. Make your own iridescent pieces of paper, bookmarks, whatever you want. And let us know which you think worked better, the construction paper or, if you have it, the sandpaper. Thanks for joining us today. I hope you learned a little bit. I hope you had fun, and I hope you guys all keep scouting. Thanks.